Hello, welcome. So this is our live stream. We are currently at Western University with some students, and we've said might as well do live stream for all of you guys. So if you're not from Canada, you can still join our intermediate tutorial. And even if you miss it today's live stream, there's gonna be another one 5 p.m. today. So let's start. So I'm gonna share my screen with you guys, and we're gonna be doing an intermediate tutorial of Hyperpad. Today we're gonna teach you how to play a multiplayer game, essentially called Hyperpong. But Hamid's gonna be teaching you. He's not gonna be using all the concepts, but know that everything that you see on this slide there is on our manual, and there's a YouTube channel too that you can a YouTube video that you can watch later. And I'm gonna be giving all the links in the bio so you can watch it later. But yeah, okay, next. So Hyperpad is all about create, playing, sharing. So for those who doesn't know, Hyperpad is a tool that you need to use an iPad, and we really want to see all your creativity throughout the process of making your game, especially with the global game jam happening. The deadline is going to be this Sunday, by the way. So everyone watching the stream that want to make a really super cool game, the intermediate tutorial, it's going to be a next step for you to be the winner for the global game jam with Hyperpad as a diversifier. So next. So welcome to the tutorial. We're gonna be making a Hyperpong game. So let's begin.
All right,
So
this is me?
yeah.
All right. So let's take that stuff. I'm taking over. Uh-oh, can you mute your audio? All right, hey guys, can you let's mute your audio too, just
Yeah.
because. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I'm gonna teach you guys how to make a Pong style game. I'm gonna call it Hyper Pong. Um, Sorry, I'm a little bit flustered because I'm doing all this producing. Let me share my screen or share my iPad. There we go. And I throw that on stage. All right. So you should see my iPad screen now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the Hyperpong game. And to do that, we're basically gonna just start a new project. So let's create a new project. I'm gonna turn off the cloud backups for now. Sorry, there we go. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Hyper Pong. And I'm gonna just approach this. I'm gonna have to approach this game differently from our tutorial, but you can follow along our tutorial on hyperpad.com/documentation. And if you go into our intermediate tutorials, you can find out how to make a hyperpad uh, Pong style game in there. But I'm gonna do my own flavor because I don't like to prepare. I like to make every session unique. So let's just go ahead and make that. So let's create a new game. We're gonna make it um, landscape style game. So that means our device is gonna be sideways, and we're just gonna support iPad for now. So let's just press next. Um, and we're going to do a bird's eye view game. So that means our game is going to be um, top down. So you can think of this as like a pool table kind of style game. You can think of this as like a mini golf style game, but in our case, like a pong style game. So we're just going to press create. Cool. So this is our empty canvas. I'm not going to go over all the details of like what each individual button does, just because we have a ton of streams. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can check out all how to make all those what each individual function does. So I'm just gonna get right into it. So if I press play, I should just see a blank screen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add two uh, paddles. And because uh, the game jam, uh, we're using, sorry, the game jam theme is roots. So I'm gonna go ahead and like import some assets that I feel would be good for the game. So I'm thinking like for the paddles, the left and right paddle, just to have two different kinds of trees. So let me go and share myself those assets. I should have done that before, but I like to do things live. How do I download off of Slack? Press download, and then I'm going to download this guy. And these are just going to be my two. You guys can't see my screen, obviously. In a second, you will. I press download this one, and I'm going to airdrop these to myself. So that, where is that? That's in downloads, I think. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna, oh, these are massive. Okay, that's okay. So I'm gonna press share and then airdrop. Oh shoot, what's which iPad is it? Let's hope hopefully it's this one. Oh, there's so many different iPads. Okay. We're at a university right now, so there's a bunch of people. There we go. All right. So I'm airdropping two photos. And I'm gonna go. Oh, so that's just now in my assets, or that's in my what's it called? The photo library. So if I press import inside of Hyperpad and go to graphics, I can import from camera roll. And I'm gonna import my recents. I'm gonna import my two fellers. And there you go. They're now in my project. So I'm gonna throw my uh, left paddle, weird looking tree man, and my right paddle, weird looking root lady, on the each side of the screen. I'm gonna also change the collisions of these because if you look at these graphics, there's a ton of empty space. So I'm just gonna press the collision editor and just make them really small. The right side doesn't really matter that much, but we're gonna do it anyways. Um, all right, and then press OK, save changes, and we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Press the collisions. Just gonna make that rough. That's roughly the same size. Um, all right, press save. All right. So so we have our two ping pong paddles. We have two trees, and how we're going to control these is with the drag and drop behavior. And specifically, we're just going to drag and drop in the y, or just allow the y direction to be dragged and dropped. So if we go into the behaviors of our paddle, of our right paddle, and just add drag and drop, we're just gonna do follows Y. We're gonna turn off follows X. And if I press play now, I should be able to just drag. I should just be able to drag my what's it called? My root. Yeah, my Groot. There we go. And I'm gonna do the same thing on my left side too. So I'm gonna go drag and drop. Oh, sorry. Um, I'm gonna add drag and drop to my tree. Same thing, follows Y. So now on each side, we can drag and drop, right? And if I try drag to the left and right, I can't. You guys can't see this because uh, I should just do this. There we go. So I'm just dragging with my fingers up and down, left and right. I can't, but only up and down I can because I have follows X and Y on. So, let me drink some water because I've been doing a lot of talking. You guys have any questions? Good question. So, these guys are both walls, and in this game, so we just got a question from the audience. uh, what does it matter if these are wall objects or physics objects? And we're gonna get into that later, but I'm just gonna give you a spoiler. It doesn't matter for this game. It's actually better that they're wall objects. But drag and drop behind the scenes, what happens is it converts it into a physics object. So realistically, these are just really heavy physics objects because they're drag and dropping them. Um, all right, so now let's add a paddle. So I'm gonna add Um, I was gonna add like a graphic for the paddle. I'm just gonna add a ball just because I don't want to go back and figure out what that's gonna look like. But how I make a ball, I'm just gonna be real sneaky here. I'm gonna use the empty object and I'm gonna change the collisions of the empty object and just make it a circle. Press OK. And I'm gonna change the color. And what's a good plant color? Green. Let's make it hyperpad green. Hyperpad green is a good plant color. And we're just gonna make that be a physics object and not passable. One other thing I'm also gonna do is gonna change the friction to 0, and that's basically gonna turn off any. It's not gonna slow down our ball. So if we like, um, if our ball hits something, it's not gonna slow down over time. And we should also make the our table be have no what's that called? Air resistance. So yeah, air resistance is already 0. We're gonna set wall friction to 0 so it doesn't slow down on bounce. And we're gonna set bounciness to 100%. So what that means is um, whatever velocity is entering a wall on the way out, it's gonna keep the same energy. So it's gonna bounce back with the same amount of energy and force. Um, we'll also turn on bounce to 100% on the ball itself as well. Oops, 100%. And all right, so if I press play, we're gonna see nothing is going on because our ball hasn't started any direction. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be pretty cool, and we're gonna give our ball a random direction to start with. So that way, no player has favoritism. So what we're gonna do is um, we're gonna use a random number behavior. So if we go to logic and let's just search for random number from realistically, it doesn't matter, from negative 100 to 100, right? So if negative 100 to 100. So what we're gonna do is if that number is negative, we also don't want it to be 0. So you know what I'm gonna do from 1 to 10. There's gonna be a little bit of favoritism. So let's just do negative 100 to 100. If it happens to land on 0, we're just gonna go left. So what we're gonna do is if we're gonna add an if behavior. So if the random number is less than or equal to 0. Sorry. So if it's less than or equal to 0, or otherwise, if it's I can do an else if. Okay, let's do else if. No, I'm just gonna make it else if. I'm gonna do the same logic. So if you drag on if behavior on to the right side of an if behavior, it turns into an else if, which basically means you can give it other logic, and if you don't add any conditions, it kind of acts like an else. So if you're familiar with programming at all, it's a if else. So we're not going to do that though. I'm just going to do the same logic. So if random number is greater than 0, we're going to shoot it in the right direction. So here, let me move my camera a little bit. All right. So sorry, I need a haircut. All right. Okay. So let's use the velocity behavior or set velocity. So physics set velocity, and we're gonna do not keep the the velocity. We're gonna set this to negative. I don't know. Let's go with 10. We're gonna play around with this number, and same with the other side. We're duplicate that behavior and set it to positive 10 meters per second. I don't know what that's gonna feel like. Let's press play and see what happens. That's a good speed. Okay. So you might have noticed that our ball just kind of took in that impact. So we're going to change our wall bounciness, or sorry, our two plants to be 100 and make this to be 100 bounce. And then now let's see what happens. Cool. Look at that. So now what happens if so now you'll see like it's always just gonna bounce in the X direction. There's no there's no uh what am I trying to say here? There's no it doesn't change, it doesn't go up and down if it's like if it hits the top half of the um it doesn't feel like a game, right? So what we want to do is like if the top half of the paddle gets hit, we want to um what do we want to do? We want it to change the y direction of the velocity to such that it goes and on an angle upwards. And if the bottom half goes up, we want it to go on a 45-degree angle downwards, right? That way, there's some variety here. So let's add that logic. All right. So what can we do here? So um, how can I do this? Let me think about this for a second. Any questions? You have any questions? Yeah. Yeah, negative 10 and 10. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, the question was, do we set the velocity? What was the velocity numbers I set to? I kind of just chose randomly, but I needed for the left side, I needed to be negative, and the right side was going to be positive, but I just chose 10, and that seems to feel good. It's a good speed, I think. Um, all right, so how can I do this? I'm gonna first do it per per paddle. There's probably a way I can do this so that I can share the same behaviors between the two paddles. But I feel like that's gonna be really complicated to think about. So I'm just gonna do each paddle has its own logic. So what we're gonna add is we're gonna do a collided. We're gonna add a collided behavior. So on collided, and I'm gonna output some stuff because I've forgotten a lot of stuff. So I'm just gonna output some values. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna add some debugging. So I'm gonna add a label and just in the middle of the screen. I just make this label really big just so I can add some debugging. And I'm gonna set the alignment to the left and make the text smaller. And what we're gonna do, okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna um, so on collided with the ball. What we're gonna do is we're gonna output some stuff to the label. Um, so logic, no, set value. So if I go to UI and use the set label behavior, I can use that to set the label of the X, like where it collided with the paddle on the X direction, the Y direction, the impulse, like the moment of impact, how hard it hit. So if you're doing like fighting games, for example, you can see like how hard somebody hit you, or like a bullet or something. I don't know which objects did the collisions. So I'm just gonna output the Y value for a second. I just want to see what this outputs. So because I think the Y is what I want. So 12. Okay, that's still 12. Let's see what that is. Why isn't it doing it anymore? Why did it only do it once? So on collided, set that. Why is it always 12? All right, let's see what the X value is. Because I want the vector of where the collision happened. So that's 27. That's also 27. All right, that's not what I want. I feel like something is not correct here. So I'm gonna try the Y again. Um, okay, I'm going to do this guy. Just so it's 12. Oh, it seems to be 12 every single time. I'm guessing it's because the ball, um, the we're getting the value of the ball. So let's switch these around. So I'm gonna use this guy and this guy is the object A and object B and see what this outputs. Um, 12, okay. Also 12, that's not what we want. Okay, so how come that's outputting the wrong thing? Okay, so I feel like that's a bug, but let's see if we have any other behaviors we can use for that. So, all right, so what I can do is I can get the distance. Um, so on impact, get the distance from the ball to the top of the. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do instead because this isn't outputting what I want it to output. Okay, and change this back to the ball. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this behavior. I'm going to use the logic behavior, and I'm going to calculate the distance from um, the top of the paddle. I can do that by just moving this little target, and I'm gonna move it to the top of the paddle to the center of the ball. Okay, and I'm gonna output. I'm actually I don't know why I deleted my set label. I'm gonna output is set label to be the value of calculate distance. So let's see what that is. Okay, 7.4. All right, that's much better. All right, that's much better. But I actually decided I don't want to use calculate distance. I want to calculate the vector. And the vector, I just kind of want the direction, not so much. I don't want um, the position. I want the direction. So let's just press delete here and change this from um, calculate um, direction from the top of this guy to the middle of this guy, and let's output that and see what that outputs. And specifically, I want the y vector. Okay, that's negative. Yeah, what's up? There's some questions. I'm calculating the direction of um, the top of the paddle to the center of the ball. So at the point of impact. So I can calculate um, so I can calculate uh, where the ball is relative to the paddle. So because what I want to do is I want the top half of the paddle to make the velocity of the ball go in a positive 45-degree angle, right? And I want the um, velocity of the ball to be negative 45 degrees if it hits the bottom of the paddle. Does that make sense? So I want to see if we're hitting the top half or the bottom half of the paddle. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, cool. So it looks like this is what we wanted though. All right, cool. So we're calculating we're calculating the direction, not the distance. Yeah. Because the distance takes into consideration the x as well, and we don't really need that. We just need the y value. So what we're gonna do here, so if I'm gonna take the absolute value of this. So I'm just gonna round. What that means is I'm gonna get the negative number out. So if we go to logic, do we have an absolute behavior? I'm pretty sure we do. Subtract, Boolean, clamp, math function, round number. Okay, what does math function do? Let's see, that's a newer behavior. Sine, cosine. Oh yeah, we do have an absolute. Perfect. Okay, cool. So what absolute does, it basically removes the sign from the number. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna calculate the direction. Sorry, we're gonna get the absolute value of the direction from the top to the bottom. And let's just do this guy, vector y. And sorry, so what I want to do is if it's greater than let's see how big this graphic is. I'm just gonna say if it's greater than 5, we're just gonna use an arbitrary number for now. So if it's greater than 5, that means it's the top half. We are going to make the y direction. We're gonna change the y direction. So let's just delete this guy. We're gonna set the velocity. How much time do you have left? Okay, that's fine. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the y velocity. So physics. Apply. What am I trying to do? Set velocity. We're gonna keep the x set velocity. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Slower in which way? What? Do you guys need any further explanations? Oh, I was trying to get the absolute value of the calculate direction y vector. And basically I'm saying if it's, oops, I need an if behavior. Basically I'm saying if that absolute value of the y vector is greater than 5, I'm assuming that's the top half. And if it's less than 5, that's probably the bottom half. 5 is just some arbitrary number I just chose because I output the value and I saw like whenever it's like more than 5, that was like the top half. So I just kind of output that value and that's what I just arbitrarily chose it. What I could have done was like I could have got the size of the object and like just divided that by 2 and that's what I could have used, but I just chose like arbitrary numbers that seem to have worked. Hopefully they work. You haven't tested it out yet. We'll see what happens. So we're just going to do the if behavior. So if the absolute value of the y direction is greater than 5, we are going to set the velocity of the y direction to be 5, which is half the speed of the x direction. All right, let's see what happens. So what should happen here is what I'm expecting to happen if I hit the top half. Nope. All right, let's see what happens if I hit the bottom half. Okay, so I did something wrong. Let's see what I did wrong here. Normalize vectors. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know we had that. Let me output some values here again because I'm going to output the value of our math function. So we're in a UI. I'm going to set the label, and we're going to set the label of the output of the math function, and let's see what that responds with. Okay, 2.5 and 11. So I have it backwards. Yeah, okay. So it's less than 5. Sorry, I did greater than 5. So if it's less than 5, that means we hit the top half, which makes sense because the 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 direction relative to the top half would be a smaller number. So let's just see what happens here. Oops, I did the wrong object. Oh shoot. I gotta do something real quick. If you go into the logic behavior, there's a behavior called calculate direction. Oh, calculate direction outputs. So if you click on calculate direction, there's like a little output on the top right corner. Sorry, absolute value. There's a little output there. Sorry guys, give me like 1 second. I'm doing some stock trading. Sorry. And the markets are closing. I gotta do all that real quick. All right, let's just set that to 2.
Any other questions? It's more complicated.
Sorry, this is an intermediate tutorial, by the way. Yeah.
Should be fine. So fast. Sorry that this has been.
All right. Do you guys have any questions? I'm going a little fast. Do you guys want me to slow down, like re-explain something? Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, because we're removing the sign from the vector. Yeah, that's all it's doing. I could have done if it's less than like negative some negative value, but it was a negative value. So, or I could have just swapped the ball and the like object and object B, right, and swap those, and it would have been a positive value. But I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should have done that. But the benefit of hyperpad is you just kind of like experiment and just kind of do things stream of consciousness. All right, so which is what this is how I like to approach my games, anyways. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, set velocity. And I'm gonna change the velocity of my ball, not my character. All right, let's see what happens here. So if it's less than 5, this guy should now go up. There we go. Look at that. Let's make it go in the Y direction faster. That way, there's not so much ramp up time there. I set it to 5, which it should just be like the same dart speed as the X direction, which is 10. And then also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this guy and do if it's greater than or equal to 5. Let me duplicate this guy. Greater than or equal to 5. Um, we're gonna we're going to set the velocity to be minus 10, so it goes down. All right, so if I press play now, there we go. Oh, and now we see our ball falls off the screen. All right, so easy peasy way to fix that is to make our ball conform to screen. So if I do screen behavior and conforms to screen, now you'll see our ball just kind of bounce off the walls. Pretty cool, right? Um, Something was weird there. So if I hit this guy, there we go, and positive. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now what we want to do is have the other side, the other paddle, do the same thing. But because I did all the logic on my right paddle, I'm just gonna delete this guy, boop, duplicate this guy. I'm just gonna delete my label here. Sorry, I'm gonna duplicate this guy. Um, change the graphic back to this guy, and there you go. Now I have my basic pawn game. But we don't get any scores though, right? That's kind of boring. Like, what happens when I hit the edge? Nothing, right? We want it to game over and say not really game over, but we want it to say um, we want it to like start over essentially, and also increase your score. I gotta go to the washroom real quick. Anybody have any questions before I run out? All right, I'm gonna put this on a little message saying BRB. Okay. Let's do this guy. All right, BRB. All right. Should I make this say be right back? Am I still on stage? I am still on stage. Hey, yo, yo, yo. All right. So, you guys have any questions before I start going? No? Yep. All right, cool. So, now we're gonna add some game elements to this. So we have our main gameplay functionality in there, but we do not have um, points, and we don't have a way of determining like a winner. So let's add that now. So what we're gonna do is um, we're gonna add a label on the middle of our screen. We're going to put that on the scene UI, the scene UI. Um, yeah, we're just gonna put that on the scene UI. We're just gonna put a label in the middle of the screen, um, and we're just gonna keep it centered. I'm just gonna make it super wide. Is this scene UI? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. And I'm just gonna align this in the middle. Cool. So I'm gonna set this to be 0, and this is gonna represent our score. Nope. We need 2 scores, right? We need player 1 score, player 2 score. So we actually need 2 of these. So we're gonna set 0, and we're gonna um, put this over here, and then we're gonna duplicate this, and that's gonna be player 2 score. Um, and let's add another yeah, that seems pretty good. Another thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add later on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a background to our game to like kind of like feel like a soccer field. Um, so that way you can kind of know where like the middle of the play field is, but we'll do that later. So right now we're just going to deal with like scores. And basically every time our left paddle goes up, we're going to increase the left player's score by 1. And every time the right paddle gets hit, we're going to increase the score. No, that's not how games work. How did scores in Pong work? Oh, it's whenever the left side of the screen gets hit. So whenever the left side of the screen gets hit, the right player wins. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Um, all right, so I'm gonna go back to our player layer. I'm gonna get rid of our conforms to screen behavior actually, and I'm just gonna use my own walls. So let's just add some walls. Did I not do that? Oops, sorry. Okay. Yep. So I'm gonna add some. I'm gonna add my own walls, and I'm just gonna extend this all the way, and make the bounciness 100%, and make the friction 0. Um, and I'm gonna duplicate that, put that on top, and I'm gonna make these really wide. Oh, make that wide. Okay, and I'm gonna duplicate this again. Why am I putting it off the screen? You're saying? Yeah, these are just basically I'm basically making my own walls. So that way if it hits the edge of the screen, like it feels like the ball is gonna bounce off the edge of the screen. Because before I used the conform to screen behavior, the problem with the conform to screen behavior is you can't turn off a side if you wanted, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just making my own conforms to screen essentially manually. So that's why it's slightly off the screen, so it bounces off the edge of the screen. So I'm gonna so yeah, what I'm gonna do here on this the right wall is basically whenever the ball. Actually, I'm gonna handle this logic on the ball itself. That way we have all of our logic in one place. All right, so let's just do this guy, and let's just make sure that our walls work. So let's press play and see if it behaves in the same way, and it does. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna quit that guy. I'm going to what are we gonna do now? Yeah, so on the ball, if we collide, so collide, um, on collided uh, with the left wall, we're going to add to score, physics, um, physics, um, no, not physics. Whenever we collide with the left wall, we want to add to score. So UI, add to score behavior, and increase the left score by 1. Wait, shoot. What wall was this? Yeah, the left wall. So sorry, we want to add the right score by 1. And then we're going to duplicate this guy. Nope. Yeah, we're going to duplicate this guy. And we're also going to duplicate this guy. And then whenever you collide with the right wall, you guys have questions? What's that? Oh, do you need help with that? Okay. All right. So whenever you hit the right wall, the left player's score goes up by 1. All right. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna move my characters out of the way, so that way. All right. Shoot, this is hard. All right. There we go. Ah, there we go. All right. Cool. Our score is working. So let's quit that guy. And what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna make my players be passable, actually, my paddles. Because I noticed when I tried to move things off the screen, it didn't really work. And we don't really need. Okay, I guess we do need it. Yeah, never mind. All right, I'm gonna undo that. That was stupid. Undo and undo that guy. Um, hmm. Let me do ignore collisions. I think we have an ignore collisions behavior. Mm, Ignore collisions. Perfect. You do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ignore collisions with the walls. So I'm gonna tag all of my walls. That way my wall. That way my wall. Did I do this one? Did I do this one? Did I do this one? This one? Okay, cool. I'm gonna ignore collisions of my walls. That way our paddles can move off of through the walls, whereas the ball will not. So I'm gonna do that to this guy too. Collisions. Ignore collisions with, oops, with the walls. Did I do that right here? Yeah, I did. Okay, let's just. So now I should be able to drag and drop through. Yep, there we go. Look at that. Very fancy. Okay, cool. Um, what else we got to do here? So we got the scores. We don't have it. We have 5 minutes left. All right, I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna do one last thing. Um, and what we're gonna do is when we when we reset our like when somebody scores, we're gonna like pause for a second and basically reset the game. And the way we're gonna do that. So on collided, what we're gonna do is um, we're going to basically disable the ball for a second. And while we're going to do that, we're going to disable object. Um, we're going to disable the object. And then we're going to wait 3 seconds. So add the wait behavior. Oh, wait. We're going to wait 3 seconds, and then we're going to reset. We're going to set the position. I'm going to add a behavior bundle here, and I'll explain why in a second. Um, uh, okay, well, I'll come back to that in a second. So wait 3 seconds, and we're going to use a execute behavior to trigger that behavior bundle. What is it called? Behavior bundle. So that way, and then we're going to add a set position for our ball. Set position. Move to point, actually. It's called move to point. Sorry, that's kind of confusing. Move to point over like instantly. And we're going to move it to basically where it is currently, and that's it. I'm just making this be 16 by 12 because that's the middle of an iPad screen. So let's see if that works. So if I let this player, oops, if I let this player score, wait 3 seconds, it's disabled. I forgot to re-enable it though. And I don't think you can do things. I have to enable object, sorry. Enable object. So I disable the object once it hits the wall, wait 3 seconds, re-enable it, and set the position back to the middle, and then basically kick it off in the random direction. So let's press play. Oh, sorry. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Why didn't that work? Why didn't that work, guys? Um, could it be that because it's disabled? Okay, I know why. Because it's disabled, we basically disable its own behaviors, so it's never going to get to the wait behavior. So let me think of a different way of disabling this. I remember us having a different. Oops. All right, I'll just disable ourselves. We're just going to make it be passable and set the velocity. We're going to make it passable. Actually, we're gonna convert it to a scenery object. That's a very easy way of doing it. So I'm gonna do physics, make scenery. So after we collided, make scenery. Uh, wait 3 seconds. Oops. Wait 3 seconds and make physics again. And then let's trigger that. This should do what we want. Darn it. All right, so now it pauses. There we go. We should probably kind of wait 3 seconds before starting our game too. So before, let's do wait behavior. Let's add a wait behavior. Wait 1 second and then kick it off. All right. Bam. And I just close it, and then you have to wait another second. Does that make sense? All right. So that's it. That's our stream. Ask any questions on our forum. Check out our Discord. Ask us questions on our social medias: Twitters, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Uh, if you have any questions, sorry, what? See if there's someone asking questions on the chat. I don't know how to do that. Can you check on your computer? All right. Sorry, we're checking if anybody has questions on the chat. I never actually looked at that. You gotta go on restream, right?
Mhm. Just go here. I'm able to see it from there.
What?
Oh, right here. Click on chat.
No, this isn't connected to that.
Oh,
This
no?
chat's not connected to that.
I think it's good.
All right, that's it. That's it. If we're gonna look at our comments later, and if you guys have any questions, we'll get back to you guys on. We'll reply back to you guys. Feel free to hit us up on our socials, our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you go to www.hyperpad.com, and just like scroll to the bottom, you can see all of our links. And then yeah, we're always around to help. And
Oh yeah, let me just say something.
yeah, as long as they
Okay, guys, just maybe put the video.
all right, let's turn you
Um,
off.
So again, so we really want to invite you guys to the Global Game Jam. So now that you did this super intermediate tutorial, you have all the tools to be part of the Global Game Jam. And there's prizes for top 3 games. So make sure that you participate and to win over it's $100 iTunes gift card for the first prize. The second one will be $50, and the third one will be 25. Plus, you have the experience, and you're gonna have certification. So this is really good opportunity for you to build your game portfolio. So
Really quick. So the way you participate also is if you go,
Mhm.
if you open up HyperPad and you share your project to the HyperPad Hub, and you tag it with Game Jam 2023, all one word, I think,
Yeah.
your game will automatically be participating,
Yeah.
and we'll reach out to you.
Hashtag Global Game Jam 2023. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
How do I stop? I mean, how do I take this?
Okay.
All right.
Click stop.